People love the visuals. Our new version is going to have slow motion video in it.
You can send us a slow-mo video of one of your bowls after, and then we'll just...
Yeah, you got it.
Look at that slow motion. Oh yeah, that's slow-mo, baby. Slow motion food, honey.
Welcome to Restaurant 365 presents Behind the Numbers, a show where we talk to restaurant owners, operators, chefs, kitchen managers, CFOs, everybody involved in what makes restaurants tick and how they do it so well. Before we get started, just a quick reminder, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show wherever you're watching, and please consider leaving us a review. It helps us continue to bring you all of these great guests and conversations while growing and supporting our amazing restaurant community. And with that, I'm your host, Sweeney.
And I'm Marc Cohen, and we're with a great friend of the show today, Prakash Karamchandani, the CEO and co-founder of Ohio's Balance Pan-Asian Grille, PK, as we love to call him. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a co-founder of Balance. We got started all the way back in 2010. Started with a college roommate of mine, and we started our first store in 2008, right when we graduated, kind of the height of the financial depression. Fun fact I always like to share because it was kind of risky, but we didn't have any actual capital. So we used nothing but credit cards and landlord TI to pay the contractors, and we got up and running. But here we are. We're coming up on our 16th year. We have 4 corporate locations. We've done a little bit of franchising as well and have a little more coming up this year. And yeah, that's a little bit about us.
How all great restaurant empires are built on some debt and a dream, right?
Hopes, dreams, sweat, lots of credit cards.
Lots of tears. Well, PK, thanks for joining us on Behind the Numbers. Let's dig in.
Yeah. So we always like to start asking everybody, what is the one thing that you think is the most important thing that you want your operators to be doing every single day in the restaurant? Like, what should somebody always be focused on to make sure the restaurants are going to do really well?
Listening to customers, listening to employees. So we spend a little bit of time building in feedback loops. We use a platform called Slack for day-to-day communication. And we have also like feedback collection from employees, but all of our customer feedback comes ported into Slack. So employees can see it in real time and get an idea of what's going on and what our customers are saying.
I love that sense of urgency that creates. That's fantastic. And that we've talked about that before. That feedback loop is not just, it's critical with obviously our guests, but getting it from the employees is equally as critical.
Also really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
they're
driving to make sure where they're at.
Yeah. Absolutely. Best way to raise revenue, listen to and dial into your customer experience. And then if you want to increase longevity, reduce overall labor costs, and improve, again, guest experience, listening to your employees makes a huge difference.
And so since the college dream was born, how many locations do you now have?
We have 4 corporate locations.
Okay, awesome.
And we're just starting to grow corporate now.
Okay.
We have about 130 employees.
And how long have you been using Restaurant 365?
2022. So we're coming up on our 4th year.
Awesome. Okay. And I love that they found us at NRA, Rich. I don't know. If you were
I know. I was there that year.
Well, I had a great sales guy. You probably don't know this. His name is Ben. And he chased us down for like 18 months. And we had everything worked out, but I wanted to come and meet the team. And you guys are great because you bring your whole team out. And I remember that year because you guys all had these red Jordans. And
that's right.
I got the last of my contract in, and I was like, I'm also going to need a pair of those Jordans. So I still have them.
That's right.
We see that as a signing bonus a lot.
Right. Yeah. I'm in. Just get me some shoes.
It's cool. It speaks a lot to your guys' culture too, though. It's clear you guys are having fun. You're building a great product, and you're having a good time with it. And we're restaurant guys. We like to have a good time when we go to work. So I like to see it.
One of our core values is love good food. So we do. We have a good time, especially at NRA. Although there were no hot dogs this year, which was a big controversy. Everybody was freaking out that shrinkflation has hit the National Restaurant Association show, and there'll never be hot dogs there again. But we'll see what happens this year. Do you still go to that show?
Fingers crossed they're back.
Yeah.
I go every 3 years.
You do? Okay.
To the show. We've been lucky and honored enough. There's a fastcasual.com ranking of fast casual concepts, and we've ranked every year since 2016. So you've got to go out there to see where you rank. So I do go to Chicago for the weekend, but to actually walk the show, I only do it like probably every 3 years. Other than that, I go out, meet with vendors, and go to the award ceremony and stuff.
Smart.
You do the fun stuff instead of, just pacing around on the barely padded concrete floor.
I know, man. You need a fresh pair of shoes just for that.
Well, that was the year we got the Jordans, and that was not a fun place to break those shoes in. I will tell you that.
Yeah, no.
So I want to talk a little bit about you got 104 employees, and what's your average tenure right now with your group?
Our average tenure is something that we track very closely. It's one of our key KPIs. Last year we had 4.6 years. And that's for hourly level staff. Our leadership team is longer, but for hourly staff is 4.6 years.
And I mean, the industry standard is well below 12 months. That is an impressive metric.
Our top competitor in fast casual is Chipotle. I'm sure everybody is aware that they're kind of the market dominator, but they count their tenure in days.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
That sort of skews it a little bit, right? That helps pad the numbers a little bit there. Well, and so in addition to sort of this feedback loop that you provide for the employees, like what's the secret sauce here? Like 4.6 years for hourly employees to be engaged. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a long time, but I think it starts with great hiring and just being very selective about who we bring in. There's always going to be a natural turnover rate whenever we're employing a certain age group. They're going to go off to college, or they may move or get married, or life circumstances change. But when we do look to hire somebody in, we primarily hire them in based on personality, cultural fit, values. And then from there, we're a strong believer that we can train anybody on any skill. And so our formula or our methodology is that we pay for cross training. And the more positions that you learn, the more your cumulative pay rate increases. And so we have a very well built out training system with video training and day by day checklists and quizzes, as well as having feedback built into that. And then by incentivizing cross training, allowing people to add and remove these different positions as their life circumstances do change. If they're not moving geographically or graduating college and moving on to, a different industry or whatever it is, if they stay at Balance, they're able to kind of flex. They're able to build their job the way they can build a bowl at Balance.
I love that. And
that was good. You've practiced that one, PK. You have practiced. That was smooth.
Thanks, man.
Teach the employees how to flex. I love it.
Smooth like my hairline.
It sounds like there's for those of you that are listening, PK's got a very nice shaved head. It sounds to me like you've got a pretty transparent system across the board with your employees. Like everybody's understanding what the cross training looks like, what the pay rate system looks like. Like nothing's hidden behind a veiled sort of wall or anything like that.
Yeah, it's an open formula. So everybody knows what everybody else makes and they understand why. It is like very clear meritocracy.
I love that. And
that's awesome.
Is there any sort of gamification in it? Can like, do they earn badges? Do they earn rankings?
Yeah. That's what we call it. So we call it the badge system. So the formula is pretty simple. We have an artificial minimum wage that we hire in at. It's above our state minimum wage, wherever it is that we operate. It's pretty clear above it. For that, we train everyone on how to market the brand. So how to do guerrilla marketing. How do you educate your neighbors, your friends, your classmates, all about Balance? Because now you're working here. You might work multiple positions, but you're part of the team. So we want you to be able to promote the brand. For that, they get the artificial base wage, and then it's whatever positions you train into. There are a total of 11 positions, and you can max out at $24.50 per hour. And our average hourly wage is just over 20. I think it's just over 21 right now. Wow. Average across everyone else, because there's also a tenure raise at the end. So every year that they stay. So that's essentially the formula. Base wage, how many badges you have, how many years you've been here.
I have a feeling a lot of people are taking notes right now.
That's such a great way to, it's a great way to look at it, because it's not only like, that tenure based piece, I think is a really nice, instead of just the standard, year over year, you're like, yeah, here's a raise. But then it's also, it's getting people to be more invested in being more valuable to the company, right? It was cross-training people makes them more valuable to us. It makes, us able to utilize them more so that they're not kind of pigeonholed in just one role. So I love the way that you guys do that and be able to get that buy-in from the team.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Ultimately, an employee can make within a range as much as they want, as long as they provide that equivalent value back to the company. So if we can be as open and transparent with them as to how they can do that. And there's a lot of collateral benefit to cross-training. For one, it allows them to fit into their preferred schedule a lot better, because a badge, I didn't say this earlier, but a badge is a body of knowledge that qualifies you to work a specific shift on the schedule that has a raise that's associated to it. So it's those three components. We title all of our coursework the same as we title those shift blocks. So as shift blocks obviously change throughout the year, seasonal sales and whatnot, that's really what we're adjusting. And then we just go in and fill in based on who's qualified to work those shifts. The more shifts that people are qualified to work for, the more benefit they can hit, because that system works excellent the majority of the hours that we are open, and the hours where it really requires everyone just to pitch in, which are our peaks during lunch and dinner, where we're doing upwards of $2,000 per hour in the fast casual segment. Throughput is key. At that point, badges matter less, bodies matter more, right? But everybody can kind of do everything. If you've got a very cross-trained team, you can stretch that a lot more and you can get a higher SPLH, which is how we ultimately get a lower labor cost and still run, like sub 24%.
So we can literally track ROI on a daily basis, right? I could see I've got this many badges on the floor today. My sales were up X amount versus, I had this many badges on my floor this day and sales were sort of, your SPLH was a little bit lower. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And immediately rewarding, right? We're not waiting to the end of the month to see how we did. We can literally see it on a daily basis because of how you set them up. That's fantastic.
It's rewarding for everybody, and it's got to be rewarding for the employees. Otherwise, they're not going to stick around.
And so you're leveraging Restaurant 365 on the accounting side, on the operations side, on the training side as well. That's your training platform that you're using for a lot of this cross training.
We were actually on ExpandShare before we were on Restaurant 365. Right. So big fan of ExpandShare.
You were happy when you got that announcement.
Yes.
And what's the missing piece now? Is it just scheduling we're missing?
Yeah, I'm looking to move into it this year. I've been in conversations. I know you guys are working on developing that out, without giving away too much. I know that you guys have a lot of capital allocated towards developing out your product, and workforce is like a major area for you guys. So I'm super excited about it. I love the way you guys seek feedback. I talked about the importance of feedback from our customers and our employees, but I love that you seek feedback from us. And I was able to kind of cite out some of the things that are important, such as employee feedback, but also some of the KPI tracking. And my understanding is you guys are in progress of doing that, and we're excited to try it out.
Sort of align with your badge system, right? We need to catch up to what you're doing, it sounds like. I love it.
We got to have the right technology to support what we want to do. I think you guys have a very flexible piece of software that people can apply a number of different ways, depending on whatever their business model is. Not everything needs to be applied the exact same way. There's a lot of flexibility there. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a one size fits all. It really comes back to what do you need? What are the pieces that are going to be the best fit for, each individual group that's coming on?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think too often, just because I shop for technology a lot of different areas, you'll have these restaurant tech guys who come in that have never run a restaurant before, never worked in a restaurant before. And they'll want to come in and say, here's a piece of software that solves this solution, but you have to run your business this way. And you guys don't take that approach, which is great. It's why we stuck around with you guys for a while and look forward to doing that.
You can bend our solution. You can sometimes break it if you want. But yes, it's very
I haven't broken it yet, at least on the accounting and operations side. But I'll take that as a challenge, Mark. I'll try and do that.
Okay, great. But workforce is hard just because, state by state, it's a different set of rules, right? So trying to hit every, I much prefer when we're trying to adapt to what you need, right? There are very specific things that you need in the product, and that's the kind of work we love to do because, the fact that your tenure is 4.6 years and the way you've set up your sort of infrastructure for your employees, I think is something if we can back that up with some software, I think that would be incredible.
For sure. Yeah, you guys are close.
We're getting there. Yes, we are close.
We're going to give it a try this year.
Awesome. And then you're done. Then you're all in. You've got the full suite.
Close. Yeah, we're doing BI with you guys too. We didn't mention that earlier, but we're doing BI with you guys, which is really helpful. And I know you guys are working on like other things that I think are tied to workforce, not payroll, but you're doing some stuff with your ATS, applicant tracking, things like that. So
people hate that I call it this, but the hire to fire solution, right? The hire life cycle of the employee.
Hire to retire.
Hire to retire.
That's
there
the nice way of putting it.
That's gentler. That's kinder.
That's how you know I lost my edge of being the mean chef.
When I was
just a chill guy.
And when I was a restaurant manager, I never fired people. They fired themselves.
They fired themselves. Yeah, man. That's a line to live by right there.
Well, I want to shift gears a little bit and one of the unique things about your organization that it just fascinates me is you have a farm. So you're sourcing a lot of your own produce.
Specifically
was that
greens,
from day one,
herbs.
or like when did that decision get made?
It's been a journey, just like everything else, you know. And also, I would say we're very idealistic people. We're kind of like big dreamers, and don't feel like we have a lot of restrictions. But when we first started, we wanted to source locally as much as possible. We started out the basics, one store, going to a farmer's market, talking to them. Found out pretty quick that's difficult. They like to sell at a high price. They have limited quantities.
Yep.
So then we tried a CSA. I don't know if you've ever done like a crop share. That didn't work because that could get us the price, but we couldn't get the product. So not really working out. And we kind of evolved through that. Ultimately, we just wanted to try it. One day, my co-founder started sourcing lettuce and microgreens from an indoor farm. And essentially, we took that concept with that operator and scaled it. And then we scaled it again into an independent building and operation that's up in Detroit. So that's been quite a process. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely cool, independent part of the business. We essentially, it's another LLC, so we just buy product from it. It's a vendor. We go directly to our restaurants. We also go direct to other restaurants as well as food service distributors. And our experience working with produce distributors gives us kind of a unique advantage to understanding how difficult their business is, because the distribution business is not easy, and the produce distribution is also not easy. But I think that gave us some good both contacts as well as context as to what it takes to be successful there.
And I love that you're running the farm through the PO module in Restaurant 365. So your operators can order from the farm in Restaurant 365, and it sends a purchase order out to the farm, and then their produce, and it's like, it's might as well be, it's your main broadline vendor, and you own it. It's got to be great for, controlling inventory levels, controlling food cost. The ROI on that, as much work as it probably took to get up and running, I'm sure that the payback has been, pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a cool business. It's not as profitable as a restaurant, but it's beautiful in there, and I do like it.
But I like that you have a little bit of empathy for your vendors now that you're playing both sides of the pond.
Just the smallest amount,
the tiniest little sliver of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in terms of revenue streams, where, what's the breakdown for like a Balance Grill, dine-in versus, first party, third party? How does that shake down for you?
Yeah, so we're heavily digital. I mentioned earlier we're fast casual. So to give you kind of a visual, our stores are about 2,400 square feet, AUVs around the $3 million range, and we do about 70% of our business through our first party mobile app. There's about a 15% comes in through kiosks in the store, and we run about like 6 to 8%, depending on the location. If it's downtown areas, we do more, but about 6 to 8% in third party. So pretty limited. We have really good pickup and conversion to our mobile app, which then allows us to control our marketing costs, drive traffic, even out the traffic flow to become more profitable. Yeah, that's kind of the high level.
And first party. Like that is your
Yeah.
app. You're not.
Yeah, we've had an app since 2012, and then we
Wow.
developed one in 2017, and we are in the process of developing the third iteration of it that's releasing this summer. That's going to come out as an update. It's going to have a series of other features in it. But as of today, correct. Yeah, it's our own first-party mobile app. It's fully branded to us. It has the entire wireframe and workflow was designed by an agency that we worked with, and it was customized to the brand. And we don't have any like fee structure that's involved in that. So there's no per order fees or percentage fees or anything like that. No margin.
I'm trying to remember if I knew what an app was in 2012, Rich. Like way ahead of the curve. Like, you know,
I
clearly
can put something on here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I come from a tech background, so my background is not restaurants. I have always been doing work in the technology space ever since I was like very young. My first job was 14, and I was building computers and doing networks and stuff. So always been a bit of a nerd. But one of my best friends in college, his family did own restaurants. He's also a personal trainer, and he grew up in his family's restaurant. So that's kind of the skill set that came in initially. So I've always been involved in technology, early on adopter of iPad-based, cloud-based POS. Had an app direct integrated very early. We were very well set up for COVID, built our own curbside system like overnight, never closed a day, increased our same-store sales more than 60%. And we've had positive same-store sales since COVID. Now, there's some years that have been minor, like I think we had a year that was in 23 that was like sub 1%, but it was still positive. So we did not see any drop off since COVID, and we were able to retain that market share.
That's awesome. Be able to not only see that, even if it's little growth, incremental growth, it's still happening year over year. And to not have any kind of a backslide is killer. And I mean, I think a big part of that, I would imagine it's got to be return guests, repeat, kind of raving fans.
Yes.
Have you figured out like what's the magic number for you guys that you go from being like, a casual regular to being like a rabid raging fan?
So we look for guests in our heavy user cohort that are visiting twice a week, which is, like 4x Chipotle's average visitor. They're looking for people to get in once a month and trying to drop that, from once a month to once every 3 weeks. But we do have a pretty large heavy user cohort that's in our first party app ordering experience.
And when did you mentioned also kiosks? When did you start using those at the store level? Because we're talking
when
about
we reopened from COVID. Yeah, we played around with one. As far as menu offerings, we do have like kitchen menu offerings, bowls, tacos, snacks, and then we sell bubble tea, which is an entire bar. It's kind of like a self-branded kiosk inside of the store, which accounts for about 20% to 22% of our gross revenue. So we do a significant amount in our beverage program. And we were experimenting with a kiosk solution pre-COVID. And then during COVID, we were closed for a long period of time, as a lot of other people were. We were also not necessarily in a rush to reopen. As I mentioned earlier, we started with 100% in debt. So when we went into COVID, we had a lot of debt, and our stores were built using materials that you could buy at a Home Depot, including the floors. All of the furniture was built out of IKEA. It was not good. So we also took the time during COVID while we were serving nothing but curbside and only taking orders in through our app. That was a great model for us, as you would imagine. Like the margins on that were excellent, and we wanted to take our time to retrofit and kind of update our stores. Same look and vibe, but just polish it up. At least put some tile down, put some commercial grade furniture in there. So we did that whole process, and when we did, we realized, there are a lot of benefits to having customers order themselves. One, if you factor in packaging into your food cost, you can really control it the same you would with the rest of your inventory. I know a lot of people they keep their COGS and their packaging separate and they don't look at it. They don't incentivize managers and things like that to control it as much. Right. But when you're doing 100% takeout, super important, right? Another piece of it is just the order accuracy component. You don't save a ton because you do have some upsell and exploration. And obviously there is like encouragement when you are dealing and talking directly to an employee who can explain the menu in different ways. Now we're working on that with the app through things like flavor tags and just smart recognition, machine learning on when customers are new, as well as linking them to other products for smart recommendations. Smart. We have ultimately increased our average ticket through the first party mobile app. But really what it comes down to is that accuracy rate. If we can nail accuracy for customers, it's excellent. Customers can obviously check their own order, and a CDS, like customer facing display on a POS system, is okay. I'll be honest with you. If I go out to eat, my brain is pretty turned off. Like I'm not like putting a lot of mental energy into that experience. And I've screwed that up myself, but when it's on an app, if there is a mistake, you can always go back, you can look at your receipt, you can see it. Like so much of the time, people are just using the reorder feature. So they're, just coming in, they're creatures of habit. They're just coming and getting the same thing every single time. So that's really helpful. We did build that into the kiosk, which is through a separate integration. We use Byte right now for kiosks. In our new tech stack, it is 100% native vertical up from the POS. So meaning the POS runs the same software that the kiosk and our mobile app runs. So that is going to really clean things up. But we do have our app and our CDP that's linked to the app integrated to Byte Kiosk, and it can recognize, you can authenticate yourself on the kiosk, obviously earn points and get your recommendations that way. So we're kind of there, but we'll be like way ahead later this year once we get this stuff out.
Yeah, it sounds like a whole other pool of data to dive into, right? In terms of like all that guest frequency and how they're ordering and how they're spending. I think everybody we talk to about kiosks, their check averages have all gone up because of that, because just the ability to customize and modify to your heart's content. People seem to love to do that.
I think it's that, and I think it's the visuals. People love the visuals. You just don't get that. You can put it on a print menu. It doesn't come alive the same way it does on a kiosk. You've got these big 27-inch ELO screens, high quality professional photography. Our new version is going to have slow motion video in it. So it's just going to like really pop off. And all of that, it does sell. We have photos for all our modifiers so people can see what they're getting. It all helps. But you're absolutely right. We're on a podcast about the numbers, but man, data sets, CDP one day for you guys could be huge. Just putting it out there.
You're not wrong. What were you going to say, Rich?
Oh, I was just going to say, it's the idea of like, the not just pictures, but then adding in the slow-mo video. So it's like it's the old adage that sex sells, but sexy food sells way more. So just being able to have something that looks really great, like that visual, it catches you. You see it, you didn't realize that you wanted it until you saw it in front of you. And then you're like, oh, well, now I've got to get it. So no, I think it's awesome you guys are doing that, playing with it and kind of just leaning into that even more. I mean, you said like, everything now, the tech stack is going to be kind of built from the POS app. We're looking at this as like, a big transformational year. What are some of the things with the tech stack that you're really helping to transform for Balance Grill?
Really one of them is the new customer journey. So even though we've been around for a while and our existing stores are kind of, they are mature, we obviously still do get new customers. And in order to identify that, we really want to automate at least the initial parts of the experience. So it's the difference between like segmentation and cohorts, right? So like being able to define a cohort and then define the events that cause people to enter those cohorts, as well as all the marketing that's automated when people trigger those events. So we want to be able to identify a first-time customer. We do that because we do require everybody to enter their phone number when they order, which I know sounds crazy, but I promise you, we don't get a lot of pushback on it because you also get a text to get your receipt and you get a text when your order is ready. So people know that. We then capture it. And we do in our new system, we are doing a process called soft registration. So soft registration just means we may not even have anything more than that customer's first name and their phone number and their very first order. But then because they're coming back and using that same unique identifier as their phone number, we then get their second time customer. So we will send an automated text on the first one, and that will give them an incentive to come in for their second visit, as well as in a way collect their email address. And then on their third visit, we will also collect other information, specific demographic information. And the entire time they have been accruing loyalty points. So by the time they get to prior to their fourth visit, that message is like, finish this up. You have 84 points waiting for you. You know, you can download the app or you don't have to download the app. That's another key thing is I'm trying to separate out. So we talked about like first party ordering, but I'm trying to separate out having to have an app. So having a light version, being able to order through the web and having your loyalty card have both points and stored value balance and have that live within your digital wallet so that you can authenticate on the app that way or authenticate through checkout online. And you don't have to necessarily have to have an app to be able to participate in the program. Ultimately, it is the data that is the most valuable to us to understand how many total customers do we have? How many one-time customers do we have? How many repeat customers do we have? Within the repeat customer category, how do they fill in? Are they new? Meaning, are they 1, 2, or 3 visit? Are they light, medium, heavy, super loyal? And being able to know how many are the numbers that are in there. And being able to dive in like super deep. So one of the things that we're doing with the new POS system is treating modifiers as products. That's super important for analyzing data, right? Because people, we sell the same bowl. Like I'm eating one right now. I'm going to hold it up because I already ate half of it. If it was full, I'd show it to you right now. But I'm eating one of our bowls right now. And you could get this bowl with chicken, with fried chicken. You could get it with steak. You could get it with tofu. There's so many different options. And all of that's at the modifier level. So really what we need to be doing is not analyzing the products people are buying, but what are the products in context to the modifier that they're buying to establish a total profile. We're also starting to store key information within products. So allergens as well as dietary preferences, and then also storing those two things within the customer profile so that we can create like dynamic menus specific to the customer.
You can send us a slow-mo video of one of your bowls after, and then we'll just
you got it.
that sequence
food
there.
Porn.
Yeah. I love, but it's kind of it's hilarious to me. You're talking about customer journeys and cohorts. You sound like a SaaS company. Like this is the language we speak at Restaurant 365, right? Like what is the cohort?
Yeah.
What is the customer journey? I love that you're attacking
when you're
the same
like
way.
70% plus digital ordering, order ahead, 80% takeout rate. You kind of have to. And like our customer support's the same way. We have customer support that's ticketed like a software company would. I mean, we have to because there's no way somebody's going to come back to fix that issue. If we did make a mistake, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. If we screwed up your bowl, I want to be able to send you that bowl back and I want you to be able to get it right away. And so we can just land that onto your phone.
Yeah, I'm calling it. Balance Grill is a technology company.
That's
we got a lot of support from you guys. That's great. I mean, I love playing around with the MarTech stuff, but we got to be profitable. So I appreciate that.
And one of the other things that I know you care about, and I'm passionate about too. So because your main revenue stream is delivery, right? I always tell people like if you're doing a ton of third party, pack your food up, drive it around the block for 15 minutes, and then eat it because. That's, and I know you think about this a lot. Like, are you planning on attacking? Like, I think you were going to attack like your packaging, sort of your, how the food was arriving to the guest on the other side. You've been looking into that.
Packaging is always a challenge. It's part of our menu development process. So, I keep giving out like little dribbles of what our concept's like, but we do have semi-annual menus. So spring and summer menu, we launched them on the equinox. So our next one's coming up. The spring equinox is coming up on March the 20th. So we're gearing up for that. And finding the packaging has been extremely difficult because we do have to test everything you're talking about, right? It has to be aesthetic because if it's not an Instagrammable product, people are not going to buy it. And we don't have the luxury when you're in a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant, casual restaurant, you have the luxury to take your time to plate it. Now, not everybody does. It's not a priority for everybody, but the option is there. We do not. Most of our customers, 80% plus, order takeout. And that means they're eating the product between 10 to 30 minutes after they order it. And so, yes, it has to be packaged properly. But more than that, from my marketing background and like what I want our product to look like, it has to be Instagrammable. When they open it up, 10 to 30 minutes later. And that is insanely difficult. It drives my co-founder nuts because he is the chef and it's super limiting on him, but somehow he still comes out with cool stuff. We do find it. I will say it's been easier. 2012, man, it was so bad for packaging, paper and packaging goods, and the fact that everything we use is compostable. Right? Yeah, you can't even buy it. You couldn't buy it. The price was insane. But going back, looking at the numbers, getting behind the numbers and being able to find another supplier and at least know what is my average use on this item, so I can quickly and efficiently shop for my other options. Because at that time it's like, do you have this? Okay, great. Do you have 15,000 cases a year? Because if not, then, this is not worth it. I don't want to keep switching it because we do have to, we have to photograph, all this stuff. It has to look like what you're getting. So if we have to change our bowl, we have to rephotograph our whole menu. There's an entire series of updates that we have to make. It has to go out to multiple touch points, third-party delivery, POS, kiosk, app, employee training. I mean, it just goes on and on, right?
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. That's not something you think about when you're sourcing packaging. Like what's the tenure on this packaging, right? Like I'm going to need this for the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. And if you can't fulfill that, then you're probably not the vendor or the partner I'm looking for, because that redoing menus and photograph, I mean, that is not a cheap process.
It's a big cost. Yeah. And you can, if you use the usage data, you can go in, even for a relatively small brand like we are, we can go in and pull that data. We have huge usage, just, even compared to other brands that are larger than us. And so we have good buying power, but you have to have that data to go in and talk to them. And you can get a purchase agreement. You can get a marketing, stipend. It could be annual or one time for switching over. A lot of times they have a separate budget for that. And you can also get what's called an FSA, a floor stocking agreement, which is that commitment from them that they're going to prioritize your shipments and you're not going to be shorted. So lots of things you can get as long as you can get behind the numbers. You like that, Rich?
Normally, I'm the one trying to throw the puns in here. You're beating me at my own game.
I'm a punny guy. Yeah.
That's why we get along, PK.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, I'm curious. So we're talking about transforming 2026, but overall, how's the restaurant landscape looking through your eyes right now?
Yeah, I think opportunities starting to open up. We're on the cusp of some changes. I think the real estate market is starting to soften a little bit. It's gotten more expensive to build out restaurants. So the ROI calculation is just different. We continue to have price pressures on margins, on prime costs. Ultimately, store level EBITDAs get pressured, and it's just a ratio between store level EBITDA and startup cost. And we consciously went extremely slow on growth, trickle slow on growth these last years since COVID, because you just could not even predict that startup cost. And it was, if you're willing to pay the cost, it used to cost us pre-COVID under $500K to open a store, and now it's $800K to open a store. The AUV's gone up, but margins continue to get threatened year after year after year. And the consumer is not flexible on you taking price. So that's just a tough combination. But I think that's starting to open up because you can see it in supply chain availability, both for products as well as, the initial stuff you're going to spend CapEx on, your furniture, equipment, right? You're not seeing like massive 10, 15% year on year equipment price changes. You're starting to see people get competitive with pricing again. Before it was kind of like, who has it in inventory, gets to sell it for whatever they want. Now inventories are good. So I think it's starting to turn around. And once this real estate becomes a little bit more available, I think it's still a little high, but occupancy costs are going up. So I think eventually landlords will kind of give in. And that's our model, is to lease and build them out because they cash flow. So, yeah.
So are we working on a new store right now?
Yeah. I was going to finish that thought. So we just hired in a new operations director. He just started. He came to us from a brand that he was at that scaled from 1 to 55 units.
Awesome.
And before that, my co-founder was running operations as well as doing menu development. So this allows him to really focus on the brand and the product experience, the customer experience, and dial in on that. Last year was challenging. I think most operators would say that, at least in Q1, it was challenging, but we ended up with good same store sales at the end of the year. We rallied through quarter 3 and quarter 4. And as I look back on it, it's because we very successfully dialed in on these menu updates with things like on brand and on trend food items, things that are, high protein, have good nutritional content, and are packaged well. And that means that customers are able to enjoy them as intended. So all the things that we just talked about, right? And we executed that really well twice throughout the year. So we're looking to improve that, as well as start to scale corporate stores. So that's kind of my model right now, especially because we've taken these last years from COVID, and now we have no debt, which is amazing. And we have cash on hand. So I can actually play in capitalism.
Wow.
Great system if you have capital. Sucks if
absolutely.
you don't,
Well, I love it too, because I mean, you're saying all of the things that I feel like a lot of times we hear from like people who are running marketing departments, right? I want to see what's on trend, what's the hot new thing right now, making sure that everything looks like really great and sexy in the slow-mo videos and things like that. I mean, you said something earlier that I just wanted to like kind of circle back on, that artificial minimum wage is to train your people on how to market the brand. So I mean, like you were building a whole army of people who are, it's not just representing the brand. It's really just like now you're out there, you're marketing the brand on a regular basis. And I think it's just a great way to think about kind of how you bring your people on and how you get them started working at Balance.
Yeah, definitely. I think people they often discount your hourly employees when in reality, your hourly employees 9 times out of 10 are also your customers, and they are your customer demographic. So you got to be dialed into that. I don't know all the Gen Z slang. I'm an old millennial at this point. But it's, I think being dialed into what they're looking for. So like one of the things that we're doing on our snack menu that's coming up, I'm super excited about, is a Japanese egg sando. Why? Because it's Japanese. It got famous through 7-Eleven. We can elevate it with a significantly, super Instagrammable.
Yes.
And we found cool packaging for it. That's like a little triangle box. It's clear in the front. So you're able to see like halved 7-minute jammy eggs running down the middle with this like really good egg salad on the outside. And it's all prep. It's high protein. It's hitting like all the key things that people are looking for right now. I think we're going to bang out with it. And it's just one of like several items that will drop for the spring release.
The kids would say that slaps. I believe that's what they would say.
Yes, it will slap.
Slaps. Oh, that sounds awesome. And yeah, protein is having its moment. So get on that train.
Yeah, man.
Everywhere
protein and everything. Protein water, protein desserts. Protein
really? I love it when you buy a bottle of water and it tells you it's gluten-free on the label. Well, thank you. I was aware.
Yeah. These trends, they're important though. They really are. I mean, they are. It's, I heard this, at a conference one time, and somebody said, relevance is revenue. And that one hit home for me. Yeah. And then they followed up with profit is power. And I was like, let's go to that, but relevance and revenue, man, the tie-in on those two things, I just thought that was so slick. And it is so true. You got to be relevant to your customers.
Absolutely. Once you stop being relevant, that's when they stop coming back.
Yep.
Well, I'm excited for your hot take, PK, because I'm sure you have one. We always like to wrap up with a hot take on the industry, something you love, something you hate. What you got?
Something I love is that we do sell food, but ultimately it's about people. And so just connecting with people, I just love that. I meet people in all walks of life. As I mentioned earlier, I started my career in IT and tech, and it's just such an insular little circle. It's tough to break out. You kind of meet the same people all the time. You're in this little echo chamber. And with the restaurant business, I meet all different types of people. And I love that. The thing I hate, which is a hot take, I don't like tipping. We don't take tips. Now, we are fast casual. I know other fast casual brands take tip. I just don't believe in it. As like philosophically, ethically, in practice, anything about it. I just think we should get rid of tips.
So at the end of the podcast, when I turn the screen around and you just got the 3 out, you're just going to ignore that?
Yeah. And Rich, yours probably starts at like 23% and goes to 28%. Those are
22 and a half. 22 and a half.
Yeah.
Like to give that option in there.
Man.
No, I like that one. I mean, it's definitely, go ahead.
It's, I mean, to each their own, right? We do a lot of travel. My parents were born in India. I was born here. If you go to India and you try and tip people, they take it like it's an insult. They're like, what do you mean?
Right.
Like, you think I don't do a good job. You think I can't support my family. Like, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And a lot of the world
yeah.
is like that. If you go to Europe, if you come off like an American, they know to take your tip because they know you're giving it out. You don't mean anything by it. But if you're from anywhere else in the world, they will take it like an insult. They'll be like, look, I'm a professional server. This is what I do. I don't need your pity money. That's kind of the way they see it. And here, they have to, I get it, because like you're not paid a living wage, right? Yeah. So like you are 100% dependent on tips. But I think at some point, we're just going to have to absorb the fact that in order to be a scalable, sustainable business, we do have to pay living wages. And we cannot, allow people to just like live on tips at the complete mercy of our customers because it's not up to them and they are not in business.
Well, like having an app in 2012, I think you are once again ahead of the curve on that.
It's coming.
Progressive. I love it.
But one day.
Leading the charge. I'm here for it.
Yep. Awesome.
Cool. Well, PK, thank you so much for joining us and everything that you do to support Restaurant 365. Love seeing you at all the events and getting to talk to you. And I feel like every time I talk to you, I walk away feeling like a little bit smarter. So if you want to feel smarter, you can find PK on LinkedIn and Balance Grille's restaurants across Ohio and at balancegrill.com. And of course, on all social media platforms, look for those sexy slow-mo videos.
Yes. And Instagrammable sando egg sandwiches coming soon. And of course, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great day, a great shift, a profitable Monday, wherever you are. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the show, wherever you're listening or watching. It's no small ask there. We really appreciate that. It really does help us to continue to provide this content. And of course, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you might be listening. And you can also follow us on all social media. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram as well. We're on Facebook. We're not posting as sexiest photos on Instagram as PK, but we'll get there one day. You can always visit us at
Just of the food, not of me.
Yes, yes, just of PK. PK, thanks. This was an awesome conversation. Always great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us.